Hi everyone, my name is Stella, and the title of my presentation is Artificial Intelligence in the Art World, the Impact on Artists and What It Means for the Future. So essentially the problem that I have identified is that artificial intelligence has been advancing rapidly for the past several years, and one of the biggest ways that I have seen this happening is through the use of generative art. So a lot of machines that have been created most recently have been able to essentially create their own versions of art, and in order to make these machines are being trained on human-created paintings. For example, a quote from an article written by Mazzone and Elgamal says, "The machine was trained on many thousands of human-created paintings in a process parallel to human artists' experience of looking at other artists' work, learning by example." And this is harmful to artists for a number of reasons. First of all, they can experience economic loss because people are starting to see AI-generated art as essentially just normal art, and they are taking it at face value and making AI-generated art a lot more popular, which is effectively making real human artists lose out on profits and lose out on people that want to see their art, because a lot of people are just saying, oh hey, I can make this AI-generated art and it can cost me nothing. And it's also creating stereotyping of the creative world, because people are seeing these AI-generated artworks, and a lot of them are not really quite as good as what human artists can make. So it's giving the creative world a bad rep. So just giving a brief history of AI, for the past 50 years or so, generative art has been explored by scientists in a multitude of ways. One of these major breakthroughs was through Generative Adversarial Network, which is GAN, which employs the use of two models trained simultaneously, according to Harry Jung and several other authors on that piece. One model in particular that I found incredibly interesting was AI-CAN, which was built by Mazzone and Elgamal, and it was built using a theory proposed by Colin Martindale. Essentially, the theory by Colin Martindale was about how artists see other artists' artwork and take in their style and take in their strategies and use them to sort of create their own way of doing things in their own style, but everything is sort of influenced from other artists' work. Otherwise, how would you really know what to do? So AI-CAN, this is a direct quote from the Mazzone and Elgamal article. AI-CAN was trained on many thousands of human-created paintings in a process parallel to a human artist's experience of looking at other artists' work, learning by example. And then it was designed to encourage choices that deviate from copying/repeating what had been seen, to encourage new combinations and new choices based on a knowledge of art styles. So essentially, there were two functions to this model. It was trained to see the styles and emulate the aesthetics, but also it was punished if it was like too closely related to something that was already put into, that was already created by a human artist. But like I said, it was trained on thousands of human-generated pieces of art, which is incredibly harmful to these artists, because ethically, these artists did not consent to having their art used to train AI, because obviously you cannot get thousands of artists to consent to having their work used in this, to build this model, and they did not do this. So what is wrong with all of this? These scientists that created this program, and scientists that create a multitude of other programs, used the artist's work without their permission. They used, obviously, like I said, thousands of human-created works of art and the artists were not asked for their permission. So image generators have to be shown essentially the right output, and that cannot be done without other art to train the machines. And artists face real problems when AI-generated art becomes more popular because, like I said earlier, hints of the real artist's work could be in the AI-generated art, and also they could lose income due to people not wanting to pay for the art with the use of AI anymore. Additionally, Ashok Goel explains some more of the concerns regarding the ethics of AI. Firstly, he talked about the concern that AI could one day harm human interests by becoming more intelligent than humans. This is probably a pretty far-off concern, but the more important concern that I am mainly addressing is about data and privacy concerns, because, like I said, these artists had their work used without permission. That is a pretty big privacy concern. They're getting their work stolen from them and used to train AI, and hints of that art could be found in the AI-generated art. In addition, AI in general just has a multitude of different concerns regarding data and privacy, because it just takes information from whatever it can find on the internet that it has access to. And finally, he talks about how humans potentially want to use AI for nefarious purposes, which is definitely a very real possibility. So, of course, there is another perspective on this topic that I have to address, and that is that image generation can be used for good. And Mazzone and Algamel talk about how it's simply technophobia that's holding certain artists back from being able to enjoy an AI-generated art, and that it's not necessarily intended to steal the spotlight from real artists. And obviously the advancement of AI can absolutely lead to developments outside of the art world. My perspective and the broader issue on this topic, in my opinion, is simply that there are a lot more negatives that could potentially happen for artists than there are good things in terms of art. So some potential solutions that I have for this problem are compensation to be provided for artists whose work has been used to train AI, because obviously there's the concept of economic loss, and this is just, their work has been used without permission, so it's not necessarily fair to them. And another solution that I had is that more laws should be put in place to protect artists from having their work stolen for the purposes of training AI. I have another quote regarding how laws should be put in place from Thomas Cochan. Because some unknown number of workers will be displaced by AI and related technologies, employers, labor organizations, and public policy makers all need to work together to provide effective adjustment, assistance, and fair compensation to those whose jobs and careers are adversely affected. And I think this is just a really good idea because obviously AI-generated art is impacting lots of different people, and more laws should be put in place to make it a safer and better environment for all involved. So in conclusion, I do think that this is obviously an incredibly complex problem in addition to it being a large problem. There are lots of different perspectives on what is good about AI and what is bad about AI, but the overall message that I'm trying to convey is that there is a lot of harm that can be done to artists due to this rise in popularity of AI-generated art. And I just think that using some of those solutions and making some more laws in place, compensation, things like that, we would be able to not necessarily solve the problem of AI-generated art harming artists, but it could work to sort of make it a better environment for all involved. Thank you very much.